What's up guys, it's Missy. I am back with another SimCity Buildit video. I'm going to be doing quite a few videos today, hopefully. I did wake up a little bit late, so it's going to be a little bit, later than usual that you're going to be seeing me on the stream and stuff, if I have time for a stream. But anyways, it's Sunday, so who gives a shit, right? Alright, so first thing is I have a question. Well, I actually have a lot of questions by this person, and because of how misunderstood they are, and the fact that I think that the questions that he's asking are probably a lot of the same questions you may be asking, I decided that I was just going to do a video on his entire thread. But before I go down to his post here, I wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of how to locate our Facebook page. So when you go to Facebook, you're going to type in SimCity Buildit MissyAnne. Now there's a lot of SimCity Buildit Facebook pages. I do not run any of the other ones. Okay, so if you want to share my content and spread the word on the other groups to get people help, you can feel free to do that. But I don't actually run those. I run this one. Okay. And I didn't even want to run this Facebook page, to be honest with you. I kind of just got told, oh yeah, you should do it. Oh yeah, okay. And I'm like, well, it probably fucking need less monitoring than the crime page that I run. So, okay. The Facebook page, I post pretty much anything that is super important that I want to go out to you guys, like almost right away. Like any updates to the game that I talk about, I try to post the link to the video almost immediately as soon as I get the okay from YouTube that it's been cleared. I post all of my written guides. Any links to those Google Docs are going to be in the announcement section. So what you're going to do when you go to our Facebook page, once you've been approved to join in as a member, and do not advertise if you're hacking cities. A lot of the people, in fact everybody pretty much that's in this group, are people who want to play the game legitimately but strategically, right? They don't want to hack. So bombarding people in the comments with, oh, I'll hack your city, I'll just remove you. The moment that I see you doing that, you'll be blocked from the group, and then, it is what it is. So if you're a hacker and you're trying to advertise your stuff on our Facebook page, you're just going to be blocked and removed, and your comments are going to be removed as well, so there's really no point in you putting them up. Okay, so what you're going to do when you click on the Facebook page once you've been approved is you're going to click announcements, and then you can scroll down and you'll see anything that I marked as an announcement, which this is the rules of rotation doc. So if anybody is playing the Contest of Mayors competitively and you do not have this, you may want to get this. Keep in mind that this, again, only applies to people who are level 24 to 29 with no regionals unlocked. And here is the links to all guides. Now, I was made aware that the production guide link was not working, so I had to go back and I fixed it. It is now working for those of you who were having trouble. It's here at the bottom. It'll direct you right to the production guide. Okay, so let's scroll down and find this guy's post. By the way, I put up a in detailed picture of the pink castle that is in the new design challenge pass. I am going to have a video going up talking about if you should level up, if you really want this castle, if you're in a position to do so, and how to go about it based on what level you are, and camping and requirements and all that. So if you really, really want this castle, but you're unsure if you're ready to level up, watch for that video, okay? Alright. It's not this person. It is... Where is it? It's a post that I made. Hold on. Okay. So I put up a post and it says, doing a Q&A video. If anybody has any questions, please put them in the comments and I will answer them. So I have 34 comments. I believe they're all from one person, which is fine. I admire this guy's ambition. I really do. He may be very misunderstood with the content that or the information that he has kind of taken in, but I admire the fact that he wants to learn and understand, and there's a lot to this stuff, so don't feel bad if, that you're not understanding it right away. And there's a lot of information in my videos, so it's really easy to skip over a lot of the stuff that I say, even if I do say it 3 million times. Maybe take notes, but one thing that I noticed when reading this guy's questions is that he was trying to simplify the contest of mayors. Now, first off, before I get started answering his questions, I was made aware that he is level 29 and that he has regional maps open. That being said, these don't apply to you. Okay, so like, for instance, you're camping, yes, so some of the stuff applies to you, but you have assignments that other people don't have, assignments that you can't work around. So when I talk about high level CoM, when you guys have regionals open, do you know why I tell people to restart when they have a regional? Because the regional destroys your game if you're not ready for it. When regionals first came out, it was after the game had been out for almost 6 years. So everybody that was already playing pretty much had a majority of what they needed done. They added it for players to expand on an already done city. It really shouldn't have been introduced to the game the way that it did, but EA was like, oh, hell yeah, we'll really screw these people day up, and they'll give us more money, and they'll be just set back majorly, right? So with this game, you'll find yourself constantly, how do I put this? Constantly suffering, struggling, barely keeping, your head above water. Sounds a lot like life, right? You're going to constantly be out of storage space. You're going to constantly be broke. You're going to never have enough rares to do much of anything, to upgrade, to get anywhere. And then by the time you do manage to sort out the 96 blades to the 2 dozer wheels, you're going to manage to upgrade it, and then you're going to have all of that shit taking up storage again for the next upgrade. And it's going to feel like you're never really accomplishing anything and that you're constantly struggling, right? And so a lot of people, they get almost a sense of defeat, and they just quit trying to accomplish much of anything, and they go towards either hunting rares solely on a different city, and then by the time they manage to unlock everything on their capital city, they end up just giving up, right? Like, by the time they've done all that, they're pretty much just like, screw it. Well, what I did with my guides is I said, well, let's say we didn't do it the way that SimCity anticipates that you will, because the way that they have it set up is you're unaware of all of this stuff, and then after you manage to figure it out, you're too far into it to have it make a difference. Because even if you manage to figure out what items to make, what items to hold, when to level up, all that stuff, now you have a city that you can't fix. Even with all the knowledge in the world, you can only fix it if you spend years and years and years of tedious work, right? And so I thought, well, what if you weren't to do that? What if you were to just restart and do everything 100% right? Like, no room for error at all. And that's what the Missy's Building Guide is, right? So everybody that restarts, they have opportunity. They basically finish the game, like, before it even starts, right? It's almost made it too easy for people. But more importantly, it put designing back into the game. Because now, instead of people spending 6 years to accomplish, 10% of the game, now people are accomplishing 100% of the game, damn near 100%, about 90%, in like 6 months, right? So when I see people like him who want to do good, but have a city that is not capable of the things that they want to do, I ask why. Why doesn't he restart? Now, what he needs to do, because this video is not about should you restart or should you not restart, it's about the questions that you asked for when you do. So for those of you who need to restart, I have videos where I talk about should I restart. You need to watch them and just bite the bullet, You need to just say, you know what, I screwed up big time, and it's time to restart and do better, okay? You can keep that city, you can save it, you can crawl back to the hole that you came from. But it's time to just say screw it, try over, and see how good you can do actually doing it the right way. Okay? Now, it sucks, yes. But if anything, even if you have a really high level city, do it for the experience of it. Do it just to see how much easier you could have had it. You know what I mean? Okay, so, for instance, if he was a level 24 to 29 player with no regionals unlocked, he would be following the videos that I have posted and the guide that I have posted. However, he's trying to follow that guide with a high level city, right? So he may not feel like he has a high level city because he's only level 29, but he's unlocked all of the features that a high level city would have at an early level, right? So he has about the only thing he doesn't have unlocked on his city right now is Omega. And the only way that would affect him for the contest would be the fact that he would unlock Omega currency tasks and he would unlock another upgrade. So that would not be good, right? So I look at this and I think, well, first you need to restart. But let's just say that he was level 24 or even 29 with no regionals. He says the upgrade house task is a premium if you're leveling up and a non-premium if you're not. At 29, I'm not, and that's how I perceive this portion of the guide. Okay, so what he's saying is the upgrade homes task is premium if you're leveling up, but non-premium if you're not. No. I'm not really sure what part of the guide you're reading that states that, but what it means is, and I'll have to go back and look because I'm not sure why it would say it like that, but what it's supposed to say is that upgrading regular residentials are non-premium. They are only able to be worth 2,400 points. All of the other upgrades are considered premium because they can be worth 3,000 points or higher, right? So there's one upgrade that's worth it's non-premium, but you kind of consider it to be a premium, you know, if you are leveling. Now, if you're not leveling, you would ignore this. So what that means is it's still a premium task, but it's one that you're not doing, right? So you basically have to look at it like you want to try to rotate around and manipulate your list around those upgrades. You can't allow those upgrades to sit and hold a premium placement when you're not utilizing that placement, right? But you also have to take into consideration that when you open up the door, like let's say you do a war booster task and then you get a 3,000 upgrade. People think, oh, that was a bad thing. Well, yes and no, right? So the game did what I had intended for it to do. It gave you a high premium. That was the intention, right? But the problem is it gave you one that you're not able to do because of what you're dealing with in your game specifically. And you can only do so much to manipulate the game the way that you want it to be, right? So you're not meant to camp that long. You're not supposed to just sit there at level 24 for 6 months and bank in on all the rares and, you know, finish the game, and it wasn't meant to be played that way, you know? It was meant for you to spend years grinding and finding all of these items, and then, you know, basically always having something to do. That way you're always spending money. That was the way that the game was designed. So when you manipulate the dynamics of the game to do what you want to benefit yourself, you are going to take some loss. And part of that loss is that you're going to have to deal with those tedious upgrade tasks and rotating them around. Now, a lot of people complain about that. They're like, oh, I've just been getting all these upgrades and it's like, yeah, that's what's going to happen. Does it suck? Yes. But it's happening to everybody else that you're going against that's camping. You know, it's just part of it. You look at all of the ways that you've benefited from what you're doing. Look at all the times that you've been able to sit there and win, and all the ways that things you managed to accomplish with the game, and stop finding the one thing to complain about, right? So what this part comes down to is, I don't know why the guide would say that, but it is a premium task whether or not you're doing it. That's irrelevant. It's premium, yes. Or how do I put this? Just regular, the normal house, it can only be worth $2,400. Okay, so that one is technically, it's both. The way that I had written the guide was that a premium assignment is an assignment that has the ability to be worth 3,000 points. The category of which it can be worth 3,000 points. For example, production tasks. Those are considered premium because they're basically something that you do all the time and they're a good task. But realistically, most of them are never going to be worth 3,000 points. So they're more often than not considered non-premium. But the way that the human psyche works is the moment that I say something's non-premium, people think don't touch it. They think only do premium. Block everything off and only touch premium. And that's not how this works. And that goes back to you can't simplify this, okay? Too many people try to go, okay, this is good, this is bad, this is good, this is bad. No, not with this. With this, it's like, this is good, this is okay, this is maybe, this is bad only now, this is good now, this is okay here, this is okay there, and then over here, and then mix it up. It's a head fuck, okay? What you have written in your notes here make no sense whatsoever. You're saying yes or no to things you can't say yes or no to all the time. So when I see notes like this, I think, but what if? When you say feed 1,600, never touch if lower, I think that's not true, because there's plenty of times where you're going to have to rotate this when it's lower than that. The general rule of thumb is that if you have anything higher than that, premiums that you can do to rotate, that yeah, you would leave it sit. But let's say that you're in mega, you've got 35 tasks left, you have 5 upgrades in your list, all worth a low value, and you have a feed task sitting there with 1,500 points, you're going to sleep, and it's only one round. Are you going to leave it sit? Absolutely not. You're going to do it, right? You may not do it the moment you wake up, but you're definitely going to prep it the night before, okay? So when I read things like never touch if lower than this, I think that's not true at all. And if you feel that way, then you're missing opportunities of rotation that you shouldn't be missing. So his next comment says, besides lining up all the factories with glass or longer, I'm not sure what Sims cash amount I would want to start competition with. Besides lining up all the factories with glass or longer, I want to start. Okay. So this is the way that he has this comment written, it's a little confusing. I don't know what you mean. Are you talking all the time? Are you talking, have you seen my factory tasks? The one where I talk about how to prep your factories? Because if you're level 24, more often than not, you would prep feed. Feed has the ability to be worth the highest out of the two, whether it be glass or feed. And feed is more often than not in your list. You know, glass is less likely to be in your list, and even when it is in your list, it's less likely to be in your list with a high value. Doesn't mean that it doesn't happen, it just means that it's less likely. You have a better chance prepping feed most of the time. Now, that's for nighttime, right? So you wake up in the morning, you have all that stuff sitting there uncollected. I had one person that was just collecting them the moment they woke up. They're like, or even the moment that the contest of mayors begun, the moment that they saw their list, they cleared all their shops. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Oh, well, I prepped it all and I didn't get it in my list, so I cleared it all. It's like, you did what? What? What happened to the pick up one and have 10 always there and one always making rule? You know, so that what was the point in prepping all that? To see if I had it in my list. So now if you get it in your list, after you do an assignment, you just picked it all up for no reason. Oh, I didn't think about that. Are you serious right now? Like, common sense has to be utilized to some extent when doing this stuff, you know? So, I'm going to look at the picture that he has up here, if it loads. It says, have war upgrade ready, line up flight timers, okay. Shop shops, all one item. I hope you mean that you have one item making, which I'm assuming you do. So you have 10 ready for pickup and 1 producing. Have 4 upgrades ready. 4 upgrades. Oh, you mean cards. Okay. Yes, that is correct. So I'm not sure what Sims cash amount I would want to start the competition with. Okay, now you're going to get 2 answers. 1, because I was under the impression that you were a lower level player. If you were a level 24 to 29 player and you were not having regionals unlocked, you would need probably around 300 to 400 cash, right around there, saying that you have everything unlocked, all your shop slots, that is. That is what you would need for Mega to ensure that you would be okay. That is right around the amount that you would need. Given the fact that you are level 29 with regionals, that you can double it because of that regional map. It depending on, of course, how many, I can't remember if you said you had 1 or 2 regionals unlocked, and depending on, of course, the algorithm in which the game spits out your regional tasks. But the reason that you can double it is because of the fact that you're camping. You are unable to do any regional house upgrades for the fact that you have, how do I put this? Okay, so you're going to get, there's 3 regional tasks you're going to get. You're going to get upgrades, you're going to get production, and then you're going to get regional HQ shipments, and then you're going to get regional currency. So I guess there's 4. So out of those 4 new tasks, all of those are a major setback. Okay, the production are a major setback because they're long and tedious and just all around stupid. But you're not level 35, so you don't have that final regional item unlocked yet. You only have the first 2, which actually hurts you more so than you think, because now you don't have that large regional item to sell for currency when you get that currency task, right? So when you get that currency task, the only thing that you can sell are the 3 really small items: the regional factory, the small regional, and the medium regional. Those are the only ones that you're going to be able to sell for regional currency. So then you have to take into consideration, okay, if you get a regional currency task, how are you going to complete it? You're going to open up your flight, which you would hope that you wouldn't have touched the timer, because if you touch that timer within 3 days, you can kiss any assignment that you may get goodbye. That shipping dock is only open for 24 hours after you click it, right? So let's say that you get a do 6 rows in regional HQ task, right? So you do the 6 rows, which you would do the 3, and you would either have to wait 2 hours for the next truck, or you would have to pay the 10 cash. If you want to be successful, you're probably going to have to pay the 10 cash to get things going and get things done, right? So you pay the 10 cash, and you get your next set of rows. Now, almost always, the final row asks for 1 or more rare items, so that's a major setback for you. You're going to have to donate those rares, because if you don't donate those rares, then you don't finish your assignment. And if you don't finish your assignment, then your average drops, and then you don't win, and then you just wasted all of these resources for nothing. Now, let's say that you decide, well, I'm not going to pay the thing rares. I'm just going to pay cash and bring in new flights. Well, the problem with that is they go up every time you pay. So if it was $10 before, it's $20 now. So you're paying the price of a lock anyways, right? Or the price of a VU item. So now you've just basically reset your odds and made it more expensive if you get another task, right? So you're better off just donating the damn rare at this point than you are spending 60 cash trying to work it out to where you don't have to donate one. So this is how these regional tasks are a bitch. Now let's say that you do this. You clear the assignment, and then all of a sudden you get a regional currency task. How are you going to complete it? You have a couple of options now. You've already done your regional HQ flights, so that option is gone. And even if it was there, you're not going to earn 2,000 regional currency doing just flights. that, I mean, you could, but you're going to have to pay an obscene amount of cash to bring those in constantly to earn the 2,000. So you've already done 2 rounds. Or let's say you haven't. Let's just say you just clicked on it and you're doing a 2,000 regional currency task. You do that, and then what? You still have 500 or 600 regional currency left that you have to basically earn. So you have 3 options. You can either upgrade houses, which you're not doing because you're camping, and you only get 50 per upgrade, and you have to usually donate regional items anyways, so there's that. Then you have the selling of the regional items to the sim bubbles that pop up, right? But because of your level, you don't have the higher one unlocked yet. You only have the 2. So the most you're going to get per 1 regional item is 47 currency. And that's going to be for the medium one, which is like an hour and a half to make almost, right? How many of those do you think you're going to sell to reach the 300, 400, 500 that you have left to earn? And that's after you do like 6 rounds of HQ shipments. Or you have one other option, and that is after you complete those 3 rows, you can pull out your handy dandy credit card and pay $2.99 for the piggy bank, which, you know what? A lot of people do. A lot of people get so sick of it, and they don't want to spend 400 Sims cash. They just say fuck it, and they pay the $2.99, and that's what EA wants. And do you know how many people will not admit to doing that? But they know they do it, and they know they're listening to me say this right now, and they're ashamed of the fact that they pull out $2.99 to finish one stupid assignment for the contest of mayors that they're probably not going to win anyways at this rate. So this is why it's time to restart, because these are major setbacks. So now you say, well, screw it, I'll just leave it sit, and I'll work around it, which is what you did this week. Because when you posted your screenshots this week, when you asked what you could do, there was a regional task there for 1650 that you weren't touching. And I know how many assignments it sat there for because I know how to count down your list. And let me tell you, you were trying to work around it, which, of course you're trying to work around it because it's a nightmare. But realistically, it's holding one of those very important placements. And you're screwing up your algorithm. I mean, you're screwing up your points. You're not going to get a 2K average unless you do those regionals. If it was easy with regionals, I wouldn't tell people to restart. If it was possible to play the contest of mayors and actually have a shot at winning and ignore all regional tasks, I wouldn't be telling you to restart. Okay? I have thought this through very thoroughly when telling people that they need to restart. And when I tell you that the regionals really fuck up your game, they really fuck up your game. Okay? They make the contest of mayors a billion times harder. For instance, if you get an epic task, you now have to prep for regional items because it's going to ask for those. Not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. More often than not, most people have more than 1 regional unlocked. Now, this can be a good thing or a bad thing. For instance, let's say that you do a regional HQ shipment task, and then you get one for, let's say, 8 rows. And you only have 1 map unlocked. Well, that's annoying, right? Because now you have to pay all this cash, and maybe you've already done one for a regional currency task, and now you're stuck waiting. Well, if you had more regionals unlocked, you would be able to do it. So now you've got these 5 maps unlocked, but now you've also quadrupled the possibility of you getting a regional task to begin with. So it's kind of like a lose-lose situation here, right? Now, given the fact that you have regionals, you will not, mark my words, okay? Set it in stone. You will not be able to play your level 29 city, camping, not doing regionals, and manipulating the game as a lower level player and have a shot at winning unless you're going against complete idiots. Complete idiots, okay? And I'm going to tell you right now that most people do not camp at level 29. Most people camp at level 18, 20, or 24. Usually the most popular camping level, if the person has a brain in their head, is 24. Because they have all the features that are important to the game and a higher level of algorithm unlocked. The best level in the game to be is level 24. You have gold tokens, silver tokens, you've got the ability to do war, You've got plenty of depots unlocked to where you're actually able to find rares. You are able to produce donuts and produce other items within the game that can actually turn a decent profit. And you actually are able to join a club. You know, there's a lot of things that you can do at this level that you can't do at like level 10, right? But the moment that you go to level 25, you unlock a couple more items. So if you have a decent amount of storage unlocked, there is ways around it where you can manipulate stuff. The problem is most people that go to 25 too early unlock a regional map, which is why level 25 is dangerous, because of the regional. Otherwise, the algorithm really wouldn't be too bad if you go to level 25. The worst item you have to worry about is ice cream, okay? So, I mean, you're trying to do something that just simply isn't possible. So you need to make a choice. And to be honest with you, you sound like a person who wants to do things right. You're really interested in the dynamics of the game and all that. And it would be a shame to see somebody with your ambition wasted away on a city that's trash. I mean, that's just how it is. The city, you just need to bite the bullet and say, look, I screwed up. But not screw up again, right? So, it says, the guide says 20 to 23, hold on. Okay, let me go back up. It says, oh, the question was, what other prep items for checklist? So, I have videos on all this stuff. There's so many things that you're going to have to prep, okay? You know, your shops, your factories, your airport timers. If you do or do not have all of your beach unlocked, you're going to want to take that into consideration. Given the fact that you have regionals unlocked, you're going to have an obscene amount of regional items at your level. Given the fact that you are camping, if you wanted to proceed on and try to, for whatever crazy reason, save this city, you would want to have a minimum of 60 of those medium regional items, because you're going to have to sell those for regional currency tasks when they come up. And if they only go for about 47, you're going to need quite a few of them, okay? That's going to be a major issue and a major setback for you. You're going to want to make sure that you do not click on any of those regional shipping dock things at all, because the moment you click on it, the timer will begin. You're going to need to have rares set aside for those regional flights, because you will need to do those unless you want to pay more in cash than what you could have just purchased the rare for, which seems pointless. There's no sense in spending $80 to bring those regional flights back in when you could just pay $20 for the frickin' lock, you know? Okay. The guide says 20 to 23 is only silver. It's been a long time since I was at those levels, but I think that's an oops. I don't know what you're saying here, but what this says is that 20 to 23, you can only utilize silver tokens. So what I've been telling people to do, the way that the first Missy's Building Guide was written was that you would camp at level 20 until you had about 300 to 350 storage. Then you would go up to level 24 and you would finish out the remainder of your storage. The idea here was that you would spend these 3 levels leveling only for the purpose of the contest. You would work your way up the leaderboards, and that way when you hit Mega, you were at level 24, so that you could utilize those gold tokens. But what ended up happening is the Missy's Building Guide got changed because the game developers decided to move the contest to mayors to an even lower level rank, which is level 11 now. So now you're able to work your way up the leaderboard much faster, right? So there's no sense in you being level 20 to 23 in Mega. There's no reason for it. I mean, it's too much of a setback. With all of these, especially with these Easter tasks and stuff, you need those gold tokens. You need to do those epic project tasks. You need to be able to utilize all of your limited features, and it just doesn't make sense to limit yourself. You're not gaining much of it. In fact, the way that it works is between levels 20 and 24, you're not unlocking anything substantial that's going to be a setback in terms of like not being able to find rares. So you're actually going to find more rares at level 24 than you do at level 20. And that's been proven. Okay, that's not up for debate. That's facts. And it's it doesn't make sense to limit yourself and limit the depots available to you to be level 20 so that you're not able to do your epics, which your epics can only be done every 12 hours, right? So you want to get your city to regenerate as much on its own as possible, as quickly as possible. It doesn't make sense for you to limit your city and possibly lose to people who are leveling anyways, because you have to ask yourself how many people that you're going against are also following my guide. Okay, I have people all the time that get paired with each other. They're like, oh, you're in my training course, and they get paired with each other. Or they're in groups and they get paired with each other. Or they're like, oh, hey, you're in the Missy's Building group. Oh, hey, what's up? You know? So it is very possible that you could get paired up against somebody who's following my guide. And if that's the case, they're going to be leveling between levels 20 and 24. So just like many people would, even if they figured that out on their own, you're going to be going against people that are now doing upgrade challenges and you're not, right? So now you've really hurt yourself in terms of placement on the leaderboard. So you've only really used up half of your limited assignments too early. So you've done your beach and your mountain, but you weren't able to utilize your epic at that time. So you just hurt yourself, right? It doesn't make sense to remain level 20 to 23. So this part of the guide really shouldn't even be getting looked at, right? At the way that it is. So I put out Missy's Building Guide 2 Unleashed. There is one, it should say the most recent, it says like the most updated version of the Missy's Building Guide. It has all of the up-to-date changes with the design challenge, with the contest of mayors being unlocked at level 11. You know, there's a lot of important changes that have been made. If you have not seen that, you need to see that, okay? Says, based on this, do you think it would be best to wait until 24 before doing the contest of mayors? No. If you watched Missy's Building Guide 2 Unleashed, you would know that you would start to do the contest of mayors at level 11. You would start working your way up the leaderboard. Okay, so if you count how many leagues that you have until you hit Mega, you have 5 weeks that you need to be promoted before you can even hit Mega, right? By the time, in that 5 weeks, your storage, if following my guide properly, your storage should be right around 300 at a minimum, is right about where you're going to be, okay? That being said, you would want to utilize as much of that time to being promoted through those tedious low-level leagues. Like, do as many points as you can towards the pass. You know, you're going to probably win first place in all of those lower leagues. And then saving all of your tickets. Don't use any tickets in the lower leagues at all. And then once you get to level 18, you're going to join a club. Once you join a club, hopefully joining one that best suits your needs, right? You should be immediately joining a club that does war. Whether they do it for the purpose of war or for the contest, that you'll have to work out with whoever you join a club with. But you need to get into a club that does war so that you can get those war points getting stacked up, so you can have those war cards unlockable as soon as possible. You should be attacking the monster as soon as possible so that you can get those war points stacked up. Those are very important things that you need to have available to you when you get to Mega. If you do not have any war points by the time you get to Mega, and you haven't unlocked really any war cards by the time you get to Mega, you're not going to be able to do those easy 3K upgrade war card tasks. If you waste all of your beach and mountain at a low level, it just doesn't make sense to do that, right? So all of this, honestly, these sound like questions for somebody who may be restarting. If you have plans to restart, and this goes for anybody watching this, you need to make sure that you do not screw up. So you need to make sure that you watch the most up-to-date Missy's Building Guide and type in the keywords like, you know, what I need to know before I restart, or, you know, I have videos about that type of stuff. So make sure that you watch that before you restart. Okay, it says, I compiled this list to help me remember in the beginning. This is so overwhelming, so I personally broke it down. Okay, if I could have simplified it, I would have. The reason it is overwhelming is because it's a lot to take in, and unfortunately you cannot simplify it. So I'm going to read what you have here, and I'm probably going to say that it's no good. Never do earn simoleons or war booster. That is not true. Rarely do keys land monster. Not true. None of this is accurate, okay? So what this is you would do simoleons if you had nothing else rotatable in your list and it was your highest task. It would be able to open something maybe for 3 or 4 tasks. It would be a last resort option as a rotatable. The War Booster is an absolutely rotatable task. This has been talked about thousands of times in the updated videos. When the very first video, and this would have been almost a year ago, went out, I said do not do War Booster. That was because the algorithm of this task at the time, if you did it, it was always in your list. It was just like the monster. If you cleared it, it was there, and it was there pretty much all the time. So there was no sense in touching it. The game has since changed, and now it's rarely in your list, and once you do it, it usually kicks back a 3K premium. Now, you have to be careful when you rotate this task due to the fact that it could kick back a 3K upgrade. It's always a risk, but you want to limit that risk after you have set your list up to hopefully have either a lot of low upgrades, or the game hasn't really been kicking you many upgrades, so you would take that as a option to rotate based on your war schedule and whatever's going on in your list. So that right there is not beneficial to you at all. That would be crossed off, and you would have to rewrite what I just wrote. Now you say rarely do keys land in monster. Not true. Okay, are we talking about in Mega? Is that what we're talking about? Because if you're in Mega, you want to be getting those land expansions done as much as you can to get them out of the way so they're not in your list, right? You should have been working your way up the lower leagues, and you should have been doing as many of these land expansions as possible. Now, given the fact that your particular game has regionals, unfortunately, you're going to have that land expansion option now in your list until you basically upgrade your regional map to a maximum point, which is unfortunate because you probably don't have the storage to kind of combat that issue. And the fact that now that you're level 29, your algorithm is really screwed up, so you're not really finding as many rares as you would as a level 24 player, right? Especially with regionals. So you got that problem as well. If you were a normal player, a level 24 player, or 29 with no regional, you would take into consideration that you're saying rarely do keys land monster. What does that mean? So if I read what you have written here, and I take what you have written into consideration, and think about if you were to hand this to somebody else, what does this mean to you? When you say rarely do keys or monster or land, at what time is it appropriate to do the keys, the monster, and the land? You don't know because you don't have it written down. You're trying to simplify it. So now when you're presented with this opportunity, you don't know when you're supposed to do it because you tried to simplify it. So when you say rarely do, well, when do you do it? Right? Do you know? Because if you were having trouble understanding it in a complicated version, then you're not going to understand it in a simpler version because you don't have enough information to understand it. When you say rarely do monster, well, when do I do with the monster? Can you explain that to me? That's what you need to be able to do. You need to be able to explain to me what you should do. And if you can't explain to me what you should do, then you're not understanding what you should do. So monster, you should be able to pull out the quick guide, and if you don't have that, you absolutely need to have that. Everybody needs to have the quick guide. That is extremely important. The quick guide would state that you would never do the monster if it was under 2,000 points. If it's in your list where 2,000 points or higher, it needs to be rotated as soon as possible because it's a timed task. That is when you would do the monster. So when you say rarely do, that's meaningless, because what if you have somebody or yourself who has a monster in their list worth 2,000 points. And he leaves within 10 minutes, but you have a 3,000 war deliveries task. What do? Well, if you can do the deliveries task in 10 minutes, you would do the deliveries. But if you can't do it in 10 minutes, you need to do the monster ASAP, right? Because otherwise he's going to be gone for 2 days, and that particular task is going to be blocking off all kinds of things that you needed to be able to do. When you say rarely do keys, again, that is not true. If you have a keys task worth 2,000 points, it's holding that 2K value. So you're blocking off other 2K valued tasks from appearing. So what if you have, let's say, 10 tasks remaining, and you have a keys task for 1,600, and it's the highest point valued task in your list? Do you do it? Probably, because why? Because the rules of rotation would suggest that value trumps opportunity here, right? So these notes that you have, they are not helping you. You're trying to simplify something that you can't simplify. Then you have land. Well, land actually should be something that should be done all the time if you can afford to do it. So if it's let me put it to you this way. Let's say that you have the dozer in your list, right? And you complete the land task. It's going to come back, and it's going to be sitting in your list again, right? But when people say, well, I don't want to do it because every time I do it, it keeps coming back. So what? Who gives a shit? So you did it, and it came back. It's in your list whether you do it or you don't do it. So let me break it down for you real easy. You have a 2K land task in your list, and you complete it. And you bank in an easy 2K points. After a few tasks, it returns, and now it's taking up the same spot that it was taking up before you touched it. So if it's going to be there whether you touch it or not, you might as well benefit from its being there. To get it out of the way as much as you can, to get as much done as you can, so that you can get it out of your way, so that you don't have to worry about the stupid thing being in your list. Is it a problem? Yes. And that is why I tell people to get it out of the way in the lower leagues, because in the lower leagues you don't get 3K tasks, really. You know, you get like 2,000 point tasks. So this is actually a huge benefit to the lower level players, or the lower league players. You can bank in as much as you can, doing as many of those land upgrades as possible before you get to Mega, so that when you get to Mega, you don't have to worry about this stupid task. But if you're in Mega and it's there, then anytime that you can do it, just bank it in. It's 2K points. At least it'll be off your list for a couple of tasks, and then it'll come back and whatever. But it's going to clear up some room, and it's going to give you an easy 2K points. So do it, you know. But I talk about this in pretty much every CoM video. So let's go down to the next question you have here. Okay. He says, the good start in Mega. Mine was nothing like this. Does this mean I have a bad start? Do you have an example of a bad start? Okay. So the good start in Mega that's in the Contest of Mayors guide is just an example. A bad start would be like 2 upgrades at a 3K value. Basically any high valued tasks that you can't do would be a bad start. A bad start would be if you had very few rotatable tasks. And I don't know if you personally, but anybody here who has not seen any of the walkthrough videos, the Contest of Mayors walkthroughs, those are probably going to be the most informational for you guys, because I go through and I talk about people's choices and I break down the entire task list. Basically what I do is I say, okay, this person is in Mega, this is where they're at, this is what they're doing, this is the choice they should have made, and I break it all down 100%. So it's going to answer as many, it's basically going to show you the best that I can show you as to what goes on in my brain when I pick a specific task. A lot of the stuff, unfortunately, that I have to go on is just examples and hypotheticals until I started doing those walkthroughs. So if you're somebody who hasn't tried out the Contest of Mayors test, I have several videos where I put up questions, I go through the answers, so you'll have to pause the video, but try to answer those and see how much you've learned. Okay, it says Launch Legendary is only high premium. I'm thinking maybe Tokyo and London are as well. Repair for 3,000, that's considered high premium, I think. None of this made any sense. Okay, let's start this over. Is Launch Legendary the only high premium? Okay, that's what you said. No. The Easter tasks, as discussed in some of the earlier, or this week's videos, those have the ability to be worth more than 3,000 points. There's 2 residentials that are also considered high premium. That is the Old Town Home, or whatever you call that stupid thing, and the Latin homes. Those ones have the ability to be worth 3,600 points. And basically anything that can be worth over 3,000 points would be considered a high premium. Then it says, I'm thinking maybe Tokyo and London are as well. No. Tokyo and London are only able to be worth 3,000 points. They're never worth anything more than 3,000 points. Okay, so those ones are just premium. For repair 3,000, that's considered high premium, I think, question mark. What repair 3,000? I've never seen a 3,000 repair task, ever, unless it was a double points week, which wouldn't be a 3,000 task. You know, in my mind, that would be half of that. So I don't know what it is that you're referring to here, but a VU repair task can be worth up to 2,400 points. So that is considered a non-premium. High premium, like I said, anything with an HP symbol next to it on the quick guide for the Contest of Mayors is anything that is over 3,000 points. Okay, so moving down the list of your questions here. It says, rules of rotation. I have yet to demystify. How could you discuss that a little bit with the upcoming video? Okay, so I did do a video on the rules of rotation. If you haven't seen that video, then I would watch it. If you have seen it and you're still confused, let me know and I'll do my best to explain it. But I thought I was pretty thorough in that video. Then it says, if I have a level 3 VU and being competitive, should I upgrade the VU tower? I admittedly have not gotten to the VU video yet. Okay. If I have a level 3 VU and being competitive, I don't know what the level 3 VU tower has to offer you. I can't remember every little thing when it comes to the game, like what you have unlocked at what level and all that. I would need a guide to look at. But that would basically be up to you. It basically, think of it this way. Should you upgrade your tower? Probably. But realistically, look at how many times you have to launch and how many items it's costing. So basically you're going to be probably launching Meteor Strike, which I believe is the first one, or I believe that's what it's called. But the first one is the one you're going to want to launch most of the time. Unless I know like what exactly it's asking, I can't tell you. But typically I would tell people yes to go ahead and upgrade their VU tower to at least a level 8. You don't have to go past that. I mean, I try to get the game complete regardless, you know, just to have everything done and all that, and it is going to cost like 2.1 million to get the whole thing unlocked. It is not something that is super important early on to do, so if you don't have the coins, don't waste them, right? If you have a ton of coins and you want to go ahead and upgrade it once or twice, then absolutely go ahead, but don't put yourself broke just to upgrade the VU tower. Okay. And it says each factory has its own set of rules. I haven't found info on remaining factories, and high metal task maybe me think too long. I don't. I have videos on the factory tasks where I talk about that. Metal, wood, and plastic are usually tasks that you clear almost instantly because they're always worth like right around 1,700 points. The minerals and seeds are usually right around that same value, and usually those get cleared pretty quickly. Minerals, honestly, most of the time, those ones can go like down to like 900 or something, and sometimes those ones sit for a while. But for the most part, anything that takes less than the chemicals usually gets rotated relatively soon, depending, of course, on what you have in your list. Now, the chemicals that one is a little bit more difficult to deal with. That one comes in more frequently and has basically the highest I've ever really seen it for is like 1900. So it doesn't really have the opportunity to give you anything great, and the fact that it comes back so frequently, it doesn't make sense to rotate it out to have it return, right? So more often than not, if it's worth less than the 1600 or 1700 threshold, normally you would leave the chemicals sit. But again, I have a quick guide. I'm wondering if you just don't have access to the quick guide, because if you had access to the quick guide, a lot of these questions are in that. And I'm going to show you that here at the end of this video if I can get this done quickly enough. It says this is my scribble chart for upgrades. It helps me figure out what I'm doing and reminds me of other things to consider when not doing a task. Let me look at what this is. Upgrade 3000. I can't do upgrades. I want to level up. Okay, I can't do upgrades. Cancel right away, but not if in loop or near end of CoM. That's not always true. It really depends on what your list looks like. You have to look at what placements you have open. I have videos where I talk about everything that you need to know when it comes to upgrades. The upgrade video actually was posted, I think, about a week and a half ago. So if you haven't seen the in detail, just the upgrades, like everything you need to know about the upgrade task, I highly recommend that anybody who has not seen that, you need to see that. It has a lot of really good information in it. 2400 regular residential is the fuck does that say? I don't know what that chicken shit says. The hell? Who taught you how to write, my dude? Come on, man. Regular resident. Like, are you a carpenter? Doctor, maybe? Do all the 3K tasks that pop up when level up. No. No. Okay, look, man. Do all the 3K tasks that pop up. So what you said is 2400 regular residential is whatever. Okay. What is the rules behind the upgrades? What's the rule? The rule is that you would upgrade only regular residential homes when following the Missy's Building Guide, right? That way you can convert these homes into epic projects. So, let's go back to what you just wrote down. If a regular residential home has the ability to be worth 2,400 points, and it can't go any higher than that, then how are you going to do every 3K upgrade that comes across your plate? You can't do any 3K upgrades because they're all for homes that you're not supposed to be upgrading. So any 3K upgrades, even if you're leveling, would not be done until you're at the point where you would be doing other homes, which you wouldn't be at that point until basically you're done playing CoM competitively or until you're past level 43. Once you hit level 43, you've unlocked all items within the game, and your epic projects basically no longer have you no longer have a benefit to making only regular residential homes. So that would be in a perfect world, right? That's going like way overboard. That's like saying you're going to have like 400 gold epics by the time you hit level 43 if you did only regular residential homes the way I have it written in the guide, and you upgrade them all to a gold epic until level 43. You guys are going to be basically millionaires by the time anything you're going to have so many gold tokens you're not even going to know what to do with them. Like, it's going to be that bad, you know what I mean? But that technically is the most efficient way to go about it. So when I wrote the guide, that's what I went for. Does it mean that you need to do all that? That's up to you, but that's the most efficient. But this doesn't make sense. When you say do all the 3K tasks that pop up when leveling up, that is not the case because you're going to be doing only regular residentials. Okay, let's move down. Thanks so much for what you do. Looking forward to the Q&A video. EA probably watches your videos. Oh, I'm sure they do, because everything that I've pretty much complained about, they've either managed to find a way to fuck it up more or just halfway. Okay, so yeah. It says, I can't decide whether to do repairs or rotate out the chemicals. I would rather do the repairs because of the points are higher and I have a lot of items to do launch disasters. Level 29 in Mega, 450 storage, lots of space not expanded yet. Green Valley unlocked, 2 areas not expanded there. 6 to 8 months, not sure how many are gold, but not more than 1 is turtle. Okay. I believe this is where I told you to restart. So let me look at what you have here. It says, shop slots are near max. I will probably start a new city using your guide, but in the meantime, this one doesn't feel like a complete disaster. Okay, it is. It is a complete disaster. And I'll tell you why. Because of the fact that you have to look at it like this. Do you have an okay amount of space for the Missy's Building Guide? Yes. But you need to ask yourself, what can you do with the city that you have, right? You need to get to the maximum storage. How many maxuses do you have? Do you have all 4 maxuses? How many times have you won the contest? Because what you need to be able to do is you need to be able to win the contest of mayors enough to get all 4 maxuses, and you need to be able to complete everything within the guide. With that regional unlocked, that is a major setback. So if you wanted to, let's say, do epic projects, that again is a major setback for you. Basically, you're stuck at level 29 until you complete everything on the Missy's Building Guide if you want to be successful with where you're at. And you're looking at spending double what anybody else would spend to win the contest, if you are able to win. How many times have you been able to win the contest is the question, right? So, I mean, that regional, if you didn't unlock that regional, it would be savable. It absolutely would be savable because you would look at it like this. What do you have going against you in the contest, right? Right now, you have a lot of things going against you, and the fact that you're in with 29 players who probably aren't camping like you would be if you were a level 24 player. You still have a lot of storage to expand. I mean, just dude, like the last like 100 space or whatever, they want like 25 of each storage item, right? So you still have, you got to get all the way up to 700. That's a lot of storage parts, right? And if your algorithm is any kind of fucked up and not at its maximum, efficiency, if you're having to donate those rares, very valuable rares, mind you, at your level, to these regional tasks to win the contest, then you're defeating the entire purpose. And if you're not doing those, then you're defeating the entire purpose because now you're not winning. You're not playing at the highest potential that you can to win the contest. So either way you go about it, it's a setback, right? When you do your epic projects, that's a major setback because now you have all of these items that are hard to make or come up with, and then you have to take into consideration that you need to get those land pieces unlocked, get all your land unlocked so that you can get that one off your list. And then you need to take into consideration how many homes did you build that are not regular residential. That I don't know. That would be another thing to take into consideration. How much of your experience was wasted upgrading regional currency? Do you have, or regional homes, do you have the storage facility for the regional map? That's another thing to consider. There's a lot of major setbacks in terms of opportunity here that you just simply can't get back, right? So, I mean, what I would do if it was me is I would put this city to the side and have it as a feeder, because it's not a garbage city, but it's not something that has a lot of opportunity available for it. If you wanted to, for somebody who wants to play efficiently, for somebody who's taken in this level of an interest, it seems like a huge problem. Like right now, you're not able to play you're not able to play like everybody else. You're already having all these setbacks and all these things that you have to change around because of the position that you're in. So it's already more difficult, you know, for you than it would be for anybody else. And so if you're having difficulties with the main guide, it doesn't make sense, especially when you really don't have a lot invested into this city as opposed to like what a lot of people have. So if you have this city saved, why not get a different device, stick it on that one, or, you know, remove it from the device that you're currently using, start a new city, and then if at some point you want to use it as a feeder or go back to it or whatever, you can. But try out a new city under the Missy's Building Guide, doing everything the right way before you decide if you want to continue on with this city. Now this video is getting way over the timer. I'm gonna have to do a part 2 to answer all of your questions, but I have to get this one uploaded first. YouTube may break this down into a second video that has like 15 minutes or whatever, so if you don't see the full video, go to the second video that's posted.